So today I'm going to make some more of my MREs for backpacking meals. This is beef pasta. I made these about 2 months ago, but I am running out, so I need to make some more. The reason that I make these versus buying them is they're a whole lot cheaper than like Mountain House. And this has about the same calories and protein as that does in it. This has 670 calories and 40 grams of protein. And that chili weighs 18 ounces, while the MREs weigh 4.4 ounces. So I can carry a lot more of those than I can cans. I'll make my pack very heavy. And then this I'd have to dump into my pot, cook up, and then my pot's all dirty for my backpacking stove. While this, I just boil up water and let it cook inside the bag, and then I can eat out of the bag. So it creates no mess. I use these hamburger helpers, and they say they require milk. So for that, I just use powdered milk, and then I use 5-minute rice. And I'm also going to use peppers and onions. They're frozen, but it all works the same. So I got to cook the peppers and onions first. Now you technically don't have to cook them, but I do just so they taste a little better when you rehydrate them. And now I already cooked the ground beef, but for ground beef you want to use 93% lean, or 85 does work if you're going to eat it fairly quickly. The only thing you want to make sure you do is you want to strain it really well, get all the grease out. And then you can also run it under some hot water in a strainer just to make sure you don't have any excess grease on it. So I'm going to let these cook up, and then I'll get back when I'm loading up the dehydrator. So I got the peppers and onions cooked how I like them, and of course I ran out of propane, so I just used my backpacking stove. And then in here I already got my ground beef cooked up. Just cook it how you like it, and then like I said, strain it and make sure there's no oil on it. For 93% I only strain it. I don't wash it with hot water, but anything less than that you want to wash it off with water and make sure all the fat's off. That's 6 pounds. So now the next step is with the dehydrator. You want to start it up, start letting it get warm. I cook it at 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And then with one of the trays, I use the parchment paper. And then cut the parchment paper so it fits. Make sure you use parchment paper, not wax paper, because wax paper will make it taste like wax. And it's probably not good for you. And that's what we're going to set the ground beef and the peppers on, so it doesn't all fall through the trays. So I'm going to do that for the rest of the trays now. So now I got the tray down, parchment paper on top. And we're going to do the ground beef first. And you just want to spread it out, make sure it's pretty even. And the finer you break it up, the better it dehydrates. I didn't do a great job. Some of these are still pretty big pieces, but so I'm going to call that one good. And then I'm just going to put that on the dehydrator. Then I'm going to do that till I'm out of ground beef. And then I'll get back and doing the peppers. So now I got all the ground beef laid out on trays. So now I'm going to do the peppers and onions. I'm putting the peppers and onions on the bottom just because they're going to drip. Just get them spread out as best as you can. A little overlapping is not going to matter. I always run the dehydrator a little longer than it says to, but that ensures that everything's dried out. And it doesn't really change the taste much. So. And when you're cooking this and the ground beef, you want to make sure you use no oil or anything. And if you do use any oil, you want to make sure you wash it all off, because the oil turns rancid after a while and it'll make them not last as long. So I'm going to finish doing these. Okay, I finished laying the rest of the peppers and onions in, so now close up my dehydrator. In 9 hours and 30 minutes, I usually set it for 10, but it was running a little bit, so I'll leave it at that. I'm going to check on it periodically. If you want, you can open it every like 2 hours and move the trays around. I usually don't. I usually just let it go. Then when that's done, I'll show you how I package everything into the Mylar MRE bags with the oxygen absorbers and then seal them so they have a pretty long shelf life. You can do it with just Ziploc baggies, but you want to use them within a month or so. And then this will be shelf stable. You won't have to refrigerate them. It would be shelf stable with the Ziploc bags. They just won't last nearly as long as the Mylar MRE bags that you can buy. So it's been on for about 8 hours now, and the peppers are definitely done. They're all sticking to the bottom, but you just want to make sure there's no moisture in them and they're all dried and curled up. The beef has to go in for a little longer, so this will probably stay in for the full 10 hours. So my ground beef is finished. It's been in here for 10 hours. And then when it all kind of turns into crumble, and you break apart one of your big pieces, and it all looks even throughout, you know it's done. So now I'm going to package this all back up so I can weigh it out. So here's all the beef after I dehydrated it. This was 6 pounds of ground beef. And now each pound I usually get about 3 meals out of. You could make it more or less depending how many calories you want. So I already weighed the bag, and the bag's ½ ounce. So now I'm just going to weigh it all, and that's 26 ounces. So I'm going to divide that by 18 to figure out how much I need for each meal, because I plan on getting 18 meals out of this. So just going to put a bowl on, zero it out. Then each one of these meals should have 1.4 ounces of beef in it. So that's 1.4. So then I'm just gonna start packaging them up. So I got all the ground beef evened out between those three. Now first I'm going to do the stroganoff. So now I just got to even out the pasta for each one. There's the cheese packet for it. And then once again I just zeroed out my bowl. All of that is 4 ounces, so each one should get about 1.3 ounce. And just make sure that's zeroed out. So now I'm going to do that for the other two. So now for the cheese sauce mix, all I do is I just use a tablespoon. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then just keep doing that until you're out of sauce. And then for the milk, it says that I need 2 cups of milk. So I'm going to use the powdered milk. And it says 4 tablespoons per cup. So I'm just going to put 3 in each of them. So now those are all done. Those are ready to get sealed up. But I'm going to finish all the other ones I have, because when you open up the oxygen absorbers, you got to make sure you do it quickly. So I'm going to make some of the peppers, rice, and beef. I'm also going to make the cheeseburger pasta and another one of the stroganoffs. Another thing I forgot to mention are these Mylar bags I use are 1 quart. And I also get the ones that have the little bottom so they can freestand. It's a lot nicer when you're rehydrating the meals. And then for the oxygen absorbers, I use 500C. It's just what came with mine. So now for the rice, peppers, onions, and beef, I used a 5-minute quick rice. And then 18 servings at half a cup. So I'm just going to put a cup in each of them. So now I'm going to do that for all of them. And then I got all the rice in, so for the peppers and onions, I just eyeball it. I just put some in each bag till I run out. So I finished packaging all the MREs up. All 6 of these are stroganoff. These 3 are the cheeseburger. And then those 8 are the rice, peppers, and beef. So now I'm going to use the straightener, hair straightener, to seal them all up. So now when you're dealing with the oxygen absorbers, you want to be fairly fast after you open up the package. So these are some that I had left over from last time. So I heat sealed the package with the iron and then put it in a mason jar. And then when you're using the hair straightener, you want to get closer to the top, because if you go too far down, when you tear this off, you'll have to cut the bag because it won't allow it to open. So I got the hair straightener heated up now. And I got the oxygen absorbers. I'm just going to dump them in. And then get all the air out as much as you can. The oxygen absorbers will collapse the bag more. And now you could leave it at this step. You technically don't have to heat seal them, but I do just so I verify that they don't go bad. So now with this, I'm just going to go on half of it. 1, 2, 3. And then a couple more seconds on this side. Now you can see that that's nice and sealed. So now I'm going to do that for all the rest of the ones I got. So now I have one more MRE left, and I've got out of my oxygen absorber, so I need to open up a new pack. So I'm going to show you how I seal these back up so they stay fresh. Throw one in there. Close that up quickly. And scoot these to the bottom. And then seal that up best you can. Put that inside of a mason jar. Now those should still be good. I need to use them next time. And just seal the bag up. So now I got them all heat sealed, and the oxygen absorbers are in each of them. Got 3 of the cheeseburger pasta, 6 of the stroganoff pasta, and then 9 of the beef, rice, peppers, and onions. And I was just using the simple hamburger helper you can buy, and then 5-minute instant rice for the beef and rice. Another thing, you don't need a hair straightener. You can use a like an iron that you would iron clothes out with. Just put it flat against the table and iron it. And for the dehydrator, you don't need a dehydrator. You could just run it in an oven at 160 or as low as it goes. As long as the beef is cooked before you put it in the dehydrator or the oven, it doesn't have to get up to 160. I know some dehydrators only get up to like 145. That would work. You just might have to run it a little longer. And now these should be good for several years from now. I always label them all and date them all just so I know when I made them. But I usually use them up pretty fast. If you're gonna just eat them within like a month, you don't have to do the oxygen absorbers and you don't need the Mylar bags. You can just put them in Ziploc bags and it'll be just good enough. Just before you go to eat them, always look at the beef and stuff, make sure there's no mold growing on it, because the last thing you want to do is get sick on the trail. So I always just put them in the Mylar bags with the oxygen absorber just to give myself the best chance. As you can see, some of them are already cinching up a little. The oxygen absorber will take all the oxygen out of the bags and make them crinkle up. Like this one's real tight. This is an old one I made. So, pretty easy, quick, cheap meals. A lot cheaper than buying Mountain House MREs. And personally, I enjoy these more than like canned food. Tastes pretty similar to when you make hamburger helper on the stove at home. If you cook it in your pot over boiling water, they do taste a little better than just putting boiling water in the bag. But I always just put about a cup. The rice I might put a little more, maybe 2 cups in, and then just let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, letting it heat up, shake it around every once in a while. And then I always dump the excess water out. I know some people like to drink it because it's calories, because of the milk and everything, but I'm not that hardcore. But I believe that's everything.